I got my weekly counting video for you guys today, and in this video what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using a spread with some double deck, and we're going to be counting through it. But for my beginners that are out there, for maybe those of you that are new to my channel, first off, welcome back to the channel. This is A1 Blackjack, the channel where we teach you how to count cards fast. So if that sounds good to you, we're going to be practicing some card counting today with a little bit of double deck like I mentioned. If you are someone who's maybe a subscriber, you've been around and you know how to count cards, go to this time right here, and that's where the card counting will actually start. But for those of you that are new, I want to kind of just explain the 4 things that it takes to become a successful card counter, and then we're going to put those into practice in this video. We're going to kind of put it all together, and hopefully we can make some money by the time we're done with this, all right? So if I take just a brand new deck of cards, you can see that all of these cards are in order, and let's say I just want to take the spades, all right? So the first thing that you need to know when it comes to card counting is that each one of these cards, right, ace through 2, or 2 through ace, I should say, is going to be assigned a value, where my 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, those are going to be assigned a +1. All right, those are what I call my low cards. My neutral cards, 7, 8, and 9, those are going to be assigned a value of 0. And lastly, my high cards, 10, Jack, Queen, King, and Ace, those are going to be assigned a value of -1. Right? Why is that important? Because if we can keep kind of a running count of what's being played as the cards come out of the shoe and get thrown into the discard tray, what we're going to be able to keep track of is the ratio of high cards to low cards. All right, and we know that there's been lots and lots of simulations done, computer-generated simulations, that show that when there's more high cards left, that's more beneficial to the player, which I'm not going to get into why that's true in this video. I might make a video in the future about that, but just know that if there's more high cards left in the shoe that have not been played yet, that's better for the player. If there's more low cards that are left, that's better for the dealer and not as good for the player. And so when there's more low cards left, we want to bet kind of a smaller amount. And when there's more high cards left, we want to be betting a bigger amount, all right? Because we know that the house has an edge. As a card counter, you actually do lose more hands than you win, but the hands that you win, hopefully we have the bigger bets out, and so that's how you can actually make money in the long run. So it's a little bit tricky there. You have to kind of keep track of that ratio, which isn't as hard as it sounds, all right? It's not easy necessarily, but it's not as hard as that sounds with the ratio and things. It's not that mathy. All right, so that's kind of how the value of those cards work. That's called the running count. All right, and I have videos that kind of demonstrate that those get back to 0, and because of that, it's a balance count and shows kind of why that works. The second thing that we need to know when becoming an advantage player or a card counter here is basic strategy. So I couldn't find my good chart, but this will do for now. Maybe I'll put the good one up on the screen for you guys. But anyway, every single hand, every possibility of what you can get versus the dealer's hand, there is a right and a wrong decision on how to play that hand. Okay, and what you need to do is memorize this chart, which is easier again said than done, or easier done than said. It's not too bad, is what I'm trying to say. And it looks a little daunting at first, but you'll start to kind of see the patterns in this as you go through this. There's some phrases that I've put out there. I know Blackjack Apprenticeship has some good videos too that they use. They have some phrases that are very helpful. But if you can memorize this chart, you're going to be able to be playing perfectly and set yourself up for the best chance to win against the house. All right, this lowers the house edge. If you play perfectly with this strategy, this lowers the house edge to around 0.6, maybe 0.5%, depending on the rules of the game and so on. Okay, that's the second thing you need. The third thing that you need to know when you want to become a card counter is how to convert that running count from earlier into what's called the true count. All right, so again, if I'm playing with some double decks here, that's 2 decks. And if I just start counting these out, right, like right now the count's at -1. We have a high, a low, and then another high card here. Because of that -1, that's nice, but there's two decks, and so I need to account for the fact that there's 2 decks. Or in a 6-deck game, I have to account for the fact there's 6 decks, right? Remember, we're keeping track of a ratio. So the more decks that we have, that running count might be not very indicative of what the actual ratio of high to low cards is, okay? And so let's do this. I'm gonna take about a half a deck off or so. Let's go maybe that much. All right, I'll call it about half a deck, and it might be a little bit more. We'll go with this much. Okay, you know what? We can just count it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. It was. All right, 26 cards. Nice. And I'm going to go through this really quick and find the running count for us. All right, if you want to do it with me, you can, but I'll just do it in my head. All right, so I got -2 right here. And just to make it more interesting, I'm going to throw another high card in there and say that it's actually -3. Okay, and I'm doing that because if I take that -3, and now that they are out of the shoe and into the discard tray, right, I'm keeping track of that information. And I don't care so much about the amount that's been played as much as the amount of cards that are left to be played. This is going to give me that true count. What I have to do is take that running count, which we said was a -3. All right. And I'm going to divide it by the number of decks left to be played, which if there's half a deck that has been played and we're playing double deck, that means there's 1.5 or 1.5 decks that have yet to be played. So running 3 divided by 1.5 is going to give me a true count of 2. Okay, so that's called a true count conversion. We're going to use that here in a little bit to help us with our bets and things. But for right now, just know that you have to do that in order to get an accurate ratio of high to low cards. Okay, the fourth and final thing that's it's kind of all you need to count cards is going to be knowing your deviations. All right, so just like that basic strategy chart from earlier, this tells us all the correct plays to make. Well, again, if I have that -2 over here as a true count, right? It was a -3 divided by 1.5 gives me a -2. There are certain counts, like a -2, where normally basic strategy would tell me to do one thing, but because of the count, I'm actually going to deviate and do something else, right? Pick a different decision. Instead of hitting, I might stand, or instead of standing, I might hit, or instead of standing, I might double down, for example. All right, so those are all different types of deviations, and there's different amounts of deviations that people know. All right, I'm going to put up on the screen here the ones that we're going to use for this video, and these are the ones I like to use. Typically, people use kind of between 18 to 30. All right, there's some people that have a lot more memorized than me, and that's fine. Okay, but there's kind of a point of diminishing returns with those. Anything more than maybe 30 or so, and you're just kind of wasting your mental capacity, where you could probably be putting that amount of effort and time into playing instead of actually thinking about the hand, taking too much time there. Okay, so those are deviations. And again, the true count kind of dictates both the deviations that you play as well as the bets that we're going to be betting out, the amount of money that we're going to be betting in the betting circles. All right, so that brings me to kind of the last part here that we're going to use for this video, and that is going to be a bet spread. And this bet spread, we're going to be using a 1 to 40 bet spread, where any true count that is less than a true 1, I'm going to be betting just $25 in one spot. So $25 times that 1, that means times 1 spot, right? So there's going to be others, these rest of these, where I'm going to be using 2 spots. All right, so if, for example, a true count of a +1 or +1, I'm going to be betting $100 in 2 spots. So that would look like this, all right? All the way up to, I'm going to be max betting at a +5 or higher, and that's going to be $500 in those 2 spots, and that would look like this, or I might use, 5 black chips to bet with that. Okay, it doesn't really matter. Still $500. All right, so I'm going to give you a bunch of chips here, and we're going to be playing through, I think, 2 or 3 decks of double deck, all right, just like we had earlier. And let's start off. I'm going to get you, let's see, let me get this in groups of 4 for us. So that is 100, 200, 300, 400, yeah, 500 in green. So we'll do that. Get those for you there. All right, as well as, I think these are, in groups of 10. So that's 500, 1,000. So now you have $1,500, There's another $1,000, $2,500. All right, this would make $3,000, one $500 chip, and then 35, 4,000, 45, and $5,000. So I hopefully we don't have to tap into those $500 chips, but just in case we do, I'll put them over there because again, card counting doesn't guarantee that you're going to win every time, but over the long haul, if you are properly playing, it does guarantee those results after a certain amount of time. If you aren't winning after probably say 500 hours or so, then you are probably doing something wrong. All right, so you can't take this to the casino today. You do have to put in a lot of time and practice into that. Okay, so I'm going to get these shuffled up for us, and then we're going to play a few rounds. If you're just joining me from the intro there, welcome. This is where we'll start counting. All right, so like I said, we're going to be playing some double deck today. I'm going to cut off right around half a deck or so, maybe a little bit better penetration than that. Okay, by the way, if you are a aspiring counter here and you don't know this, the further that this cut card right there is into the back of the shoe, the better. All right, so for example, if it was, instead of where it is currently, instead of being right there, if it was even further, that's better. The closer it is to the front, the worse it is. So this would be very bad penetration. The farther into the deck you get, the more true of a count you have, right? Because that ratio, there's less cards to play with, and so you're getting very, very, very accurate true counts. So again, usually you look for in double deck around half a deck or so cut off, anywhere between half and probably 0.75 of a deck would be ideal. If it's less than that, that's even better. Like if it's 15 cards or something, but that's pretty rare. Okay, so again, going back to that bet spread, since I'm just starting out this first round, I'm going to kind of talk through it. If you are one of my subscribers and you know all this, you can maybe watch this on double speed or on mute if I'm talking too much. I don't get offended by that. But because our count starts out at 0, right? No cards have been played yet. We are going to be betting just one $25 chip. And as the count rises, that's when we will split it and start betting hopefully more. If it stays 0 or negative for the true count, we'll keep our minimum bet out because we do not have the advantage until around a true 1. Okay, for this particular game of double deck, that's when we gain the advantage. All right. I also want to make sure that we are counting accurately. So I'm going to put a burn card down here, and if we can get back to 0 at the end of this, then we know we counted perfectly. All right, let's try that. So this first one here, I'm going to walk you through this. And as I do this, it is going to be your job to know basic strategy and hopefully play correctly. So instead of me saying an 11 versus a dealer 6, this is going to be a double down. All right, I'm going to be counting out what the running count is and telling you what that conversion is to the true count. For example, this would be a 1, a neutral, another 1. So the count is at 2 right now. That's what I'm going to be counting. So I'd say 1, 2. All right, it is a double down. So you get one more. Count's still at 2. Now it's back to 1 and still at a 1. All right. Okay, 1 divided by 2 decks left to be played. That is still going to be our minimum bet. All right, so our running count is at 1. It's a hit. Still at 1, 2, okay, stand, 3, ooh, and 2. Okay, so we lost that, but the count's at 2. 2 divided by 2 is a true count of 1, so we can raise our bets to 2 spots at $100 each. All right, our running count is at 2. No blackjack here. Let's see, the counts dropped, so those cancel. 1, 0. All right, so we have to hit this. Back to 1. It's also a stand. Ooh, and we lost both. Okay. Count is at 1. All right, I'd say we're still dividing by 2 decks left. There's not a half deck in there yet. So because 1 divided by 2 is less than 1, we're going to be betting our minimum. Ooh, lots of high cards. So it was at 1, now it's at 0. D1 or -1, -2. No blackjack. You're going to stand. Still at -2. Bet minimum because we're at a negative count. It was at -2. This brought it back to 0 and then back to -1. No blackjack. -2. -3. All right, still negative, so we're betting the minimum. All right, it was at -3, now it's at -4, -5, -6. It's going to be a stand. -7, that's a push. All right, still betting the minimum because it's negative. Wow, a lot of high cards. Stand on that. It was at -7, -8, -9, -10. -9, -8, another push. Still negative, so still the minimum. Counts at -8, -7. It's going to be a hit. All right, still at -7, -6, -5, and -6. All right, still at -6. A hit. I can stand. -5, -4, -5. Still betting the minimum here. All right, count still at -5. That's going to be a hit. It's going to be another hit. There you go. Now you can stand. Count drops to -4, -3, -2, and -1. All right, let's see. That's 18, 13, and also 18. So that's a push. All right, counts at -1. So still betting the minimum. See if we can get above 0 before we're done here. Still -1. Oh, blackjack. -2. Okay, back to -1. That's going to be a stand. 0, 1. Ooh, 18. Okay, now we can raise our bets once more because the count is at 1, and I have definitely less than 1 deck left to be played. So 1 divided by 1 is 1. So we're going to raise it to $100 in 2 spots here. Running count is at 1. Okay, still at 1. No blackjack. That's going to be a stand. It's going to be a hit. And back to 0. We're going to stand on that. Ooh, and -1. So I got to take this one, and that one is a push. So the count dropped below 0 again to -1. So I'm going to be putting that back and betting my minimum. All right, last hand. Count was at -1. Now it's at 0. That's a hit. 1, 0. Ooh, and D1 or -1, and we busted. And back to 0. Okay. So it's at 0 here. Let's see if we can get back to 0 with these plus of our burn card. All right. So if it was at 0, this would drop it to D1, 0, D1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, and the burn card needs to be a high card, and it is. So we were at 0, which means we were counting correctly, which means our counts were correct. All right, we did lose a little bit of money there because when we were able to kind of spread to 2 hands with those higher chips. I think we lost more than we won. All right, but we're going to do this 2 more times and see if we can end up with a win overall. Remember, card counting doesn't guarantee wins in the short term, but over the long run, we should be able to win. All right, so let me get these shuffled up for us. All right, again, I'm cutting off right around a half deck or so there, maybe a little bit less. And again, our count starts back at 0. Got a burn card. We're going to throw into the tray over there. All right, and by the way, if you get concerned about the burn card, just kind of think of it as being part of that penetration in the back where, you know, it doesn't really, one card's not going to, you know, mess with the whole, your whole counting system right there. If you're off by 1 card in your deck estimation, I don't think there's too many people that are that good to get right down to a single card. So don't worry about it. All right, here we go. Starting again with our minimum bets there. Let's see if we can get a win this time. Man, more high cards. So this drops the count to D3 or -3 right away. Gonna stand. No blackjack. All right, back to D2. I'm gonna use D instead of minus this time. D2. D3 and D4. So again, got the win, but the count dropped super negative right away. D4, got to keep our bets same. Still at D4, it's going to be a stand. D5, D6, D7. I wish we could raise our bets to make this more interesting for you. Here, now we can maybe. It was at D7, D65, D4. We split 6s versus 2 through 6. All right, was that, or it counts at D4 on the first 6. Oh my goodness, another 6. D3 now, split that again. Okay, now you can stand, still at D3. Wow, D2, double that down. Nice. Still D2. Another double down. Wow, this will be quite the hand. D1 now. 0. All right. So we can get him to bust. D1. Oh, no. and 0. Okay. So with all this, just a couple of words of advice. Don't lose the count, first off. And secondly, it's nice that it happened to work out this way where we were betting our minimum amount. And so we didn't lose that much. Let's see, this, I guess this one's a push, right? And this one we lost, and this one we lost. Okay. So before we put our bets out, what is the count? This will be a good test for you. See if you have to go back in the video or not. The count should be at 0. So be sure that you can lock that away in your head, which means I'm still betting my minimum. Oops. All right, no blackjack there. It was at 0, D1, D2. I'm going to stand on the soft 19. D1 and 0 again. Nice. Oops. All right, still 0, still betting the minimum. Ooh, here's a double down. Now it counts at 1. Good luck. Oh, worst one we can get. 1 back to 0. 1, 2, and 20. All right, so the count is at 2. Hey, we can raise our bets finally. Counts at 2. 2 divided by, I'd say 1.5. It's still going to be just a true 1. So we can raise it up to $100 in each spot though. All right, running count is at 2. Ooh, this is interesting. Back to 1. 9's split against 9. All right, back to 1. Let's see, that's 2. It's going to be a hit. And 1 too many, I think. Okay, counts at 2, 3, and same thing there. Dang it. Counts at 3. Soft 18 versus 9 is a hit. There you go. You can stand a soft 19. Count was at 3. Now it's at 2. 3, and too many. Okay, count back to 2 though. All right, 2 divided by, say there's 1 deck left to be played there, or 1 in the discard tray. So we're going to raise it up even more to 202 spots. Remember that that spread that we were using earlier, right? So we're at a true 2, which means 202 spots. All right, 2 is what our count is at. Running count is at 2. Let's see, now it's at 3. Okay, and the way I'm getting that, by the way, so it was at 2. This drops it down to 1, still 1, 2, 3, still 3. Okay, stand, can be a hit. Stand, back to 2, 3, and 4. Oh man, we're getting creamed here. All right, so I got to take both those from you. But good news is the count's at 4, so we can raise our bets even more. 4 divided by 1 deck left is a true 4. Almost to a max bet. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so 4 in each spot. Running count of 4, true count of 4. Ooh, here's another one of those deviations that we talked about earlier. Okay, so first off, what did the count do? Well, it was at 4, 3, still 3, 3, 4, and then back to 3. Okay, when in double deck, you take insurance at a true count of 2.5 or higher. And to do that, you're going to bet 200. So you bet half of your original bet for each hand. And if they have blackjack, which they don't in this case, of course they don't, then you would not really lose anything. Okay, so our count is at 3. We're going to stand on this one. A 9 is going to be a hit. 14 is going to be a hit. Count jumped back to 4. Nice, 21. 5 counts at 5, and still 5. 6. Let's see, that is 16. And 23, too many. Nice. So counts at 6. So we won both of those because the dealer busted. So we can finally max bet here. All right, so we went from kind of no black chips to a bunch, which is nice. All right, we get to max bets. The reason why I'm not putting out 600, remember, is because for my bet spread that I'm using for my 1 to 40 bet spread, I am maxing out at a true 5. Okay, so 6 divided by 1 deck left is 6, which is bigger than 5. So anything bigger, we just do $500 in 2 spots. All right, let's see if we can end on a nice win here. Oh my goodness, lots of high cards. Okay, so it was at a 6. It's dropped it, I think, all the way down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 is where we're at. Stand, stand. And 0. Dang it. I was hoping we could get that one. Those are both pushes. So we have to go from $1,000 out here back to our measly little 25 because we're back at a true count of 0. All right, going to stand on that 20. Count dropped to -2 and -3. Won that one. Still negative, so we're going to be betting the minimum. -3 and -2, or D2. This is going to be a double down. And last hand, D3 again, D2, and D3. All right, let's see if we were correct or not on the count. Should be at D3 is what I had. D4 should be able to get back to 0. D5, D4, D3, D4, D3, D2, D3, D2, D1, 0, D1, D2, D3, D2, D3, D2, D1, 0. So this needs to be a 7, 8, or 9. And it is for that burn card there. All right, so we're betting correctly. Again, I think both those were losses. Let's see if we can get a win out of this next one. I'll shuffle them up nice and good here for us, and then we'll do one more shoe. All right, so I cut off, again, a little bit more here on this one, and we're going to be starting out at 0. Again, I got the burn card over here. Throw that into the discard tray. Are you ready? Last one that we're going to do. Again, hopefully we can get a nice win this time. Again, it counts at 0. High card, low card, and neutral. So we got 0, 1, 2, and too many. Nice. There you go. Counts at 2. We can raise our bets already. Okay, 2 divided by 2 is where I'm getting that from. Okay, counts at 3, 4, 3, 4. So this will be a hit. 3. This is going to be a double down. And 4. Ooh. So we can get them to bust. All right, still at 4 and 21, of course. All right, dang it. But since we're at 4 divided by 2 decks left, that's going to be a true 2. So we can go 200 in each spot. Counts at 4. Counts at 5, 6, 7, 8. Wow, it's really rising this time. That's good. It's going to be a hit. 9, hit. 10. Let's see, that's a hit still. 11, hit. And 12. Oh my goodness, this is a bunch of low cards. So it counts at 12. Let's see, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 17. Yeah, you can stand. Counts at 12. 6s are a hit against an 8. Let's see, 16 is also a hit. So it was at 12, 13, and it's too many. Okay, counts at 13 and back to 12. Shoot. All right, 12 divided by 1.5 decks left to be played. That's going to be our max bet because that is 12 divided by 1.5 is 8, all right, which is bigger than my max bet of 5. You know what? I'm going to use 500s for that. So we get to max bet here. Good luck on the ace. Hey, got it, maybe. They have blackjack too? No, they don't. All right. So before we celebrate this, let's figure out what our count was. It was at 12. Those two are going to cancel. 11, 10. So let's see. That is going to be 500 plus another 250. Very nice. Okay, counts at 10. This is going to be a hit. Nice. Now you can stand back to 11. There you go. Just like that, you won 500 bucks. Okay, counts at 11. 11 is still going to be in that max bet range. So we have 2 spots of 500. All right, count was at 11. Now it's back to 10. Cancel, cancel. 10. This is going to be a hit. 11. And you know what? There is a deviation for this one. A 15 versus a 10. You stand at a true count of +4 or higher, which we are definitely at. Okay, this one we are going to hit, though. Okay, and then same thing. We're going to stand on this one. Count drop back to 10. All right, so we're going to stand there. Ooh, and then back to 9. So I got to take both those from you. Okay, counts at 9. 9 divided by, I'd say it's still 1.5. That is going to be, I think, a true count of 6. And so we'll still be max betting. Whoa. Can we get some more blackjacks? There's one. Just one this time. As long as the dealer doesn't have it, and they don't. All right. So let's see. We're at 10. 9, 8, 7, 6 is where we are. This will be another 500 plus 250 for you. Okay, counts at 6. This is going to be a stand. Nice. There we go. All right, so count's still at 6. Okay, now I would say there is one deck left to be played. So 6 divided by 1, of course, is 6. We're still going to be max betting. That's the nice thing about the further into the shoe you get. You can just divide by 1 if you're playing double deck, which is really nice. Okay, makes it easier. So 6, 5, 4. I'm going to stand on that. This is going to be a hit. Hey, look at that. Going our way this time. Count still at 4. You won $1,000 just like that. All right. Now 4 divided by 1. This is not a max bet anymore. Now we're going to be betting 400 in both spots. 4 divided by 1 is 4. To get some true counts. Okay. Count was at 4. Now it's at 5. Cancel, cancel, 5. So stand, stand. 6 and 16. Nice. And back to 5 again. Let's see a bunch of black chips here. All right. Counts at 5. I'm just going to add 1 to those piles. Get our blacks up a little bit more. All right, counts at 5. Now cancel 4, 3. Okay, this is going to be a hit. 2. So earlier this was a deviation. Now since the count's back to 2, we have to hit this. All right, and 1. All right. Unfortunately, you're not likely to win that one, but it is a hit. All right, this one's going to be a stand. Counts at 1. Ooh, now back to 0. We lost that one as well. All right, since we're at 0, we have to go all the way back to our minimum bet of $25. And let's see, count's still at 0. This is going to be a double down. No blackjack there. All right. And -1. So we got to take those from you. Counts at -1. Still betting the minimum because we are negative. Wow, another 11. Was at -1, now it's at 0. Cancels and 0. So this is going to be plus, or just 1 here. I think I did the same one last time. 1 and, ooh, 21. And let's see, I think our count finished at 0. So there, we'll count this all up here in a second. I should be able to get back to 0 with these. Again, I was able to play a lot at last one because we played 2 spots and the cut card was right there. All right, let's see if we were right or not. It was at 0, so D1, still D1, D2, D1, D2, D1, D2, D1, D2, D1, 0. It needs to be a 7, 8, or 9. Oh, and it wasn't. So I was off by 1 on that last one, which is not acceptable. Okay, so one thing, again, if you are just starting out here, this is why you practice, okay? So you need to be able to be perfect every single time, okay? There, because I was talking to you guys and I can make all the excuses I want, I was not acceptable. Some pros say that they're okay being off by 1 every 6 decks, which is kind of what I was there. I don't know if that's quite in my tolerance range or not, though, so I would like to be a little bit better than that. Again, if I didn't have to announce everything I was doing in this video, I might be a little better. But all right, let's count up what we have and see if we made or lost money here. Remember, we started with $5,000. So maybe you did it just in the $500 chips here. That's 1, 2, 3, 4,500. All right, so it looks like we might make a little bit. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. There's our 5,000. So everything else over here is going to be profit for today. So let's see. We have 400 in black. I need piles of 4 for the green. So it looks like 400, 500, 600, 700, $800.50. or $850, I should say. So not too bad. Again, that's just playing a little bit of double deck with, again, a 1 to 40 bet spread. So a little bit of a longer video here for you to kind of show you what it takes to become a card counter. Kind of those 4 concepts: the running count, basic strategy, converting to the true count, and then using those deviations, right? As well as putting it all together with a bet spread in a video. So kind of a lot of stuff going on in this video. If you liked it, this took a little bit of time to make. If you would hit that thumbs up button for me, that really helps me out. Until next time, remember, this is A1 Blackjack.